Hello, and here we are again, another week at Perfectly Paranormal, episode 146. My name's Annaschmidt, and I'm here every week to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that no one else talks about. And today you're going to get the ins and outs on spiritual warfare and the armour that you need to survive demonic attack. Spiritual armour comes in all sorts of forms. So I'm going to be sharing with you what I use and how it can work for you too. So spiritual warfare, you might not think it's a thing, but it actually is. It's been here forever. We're being pulled and tugged every single day, to and fro, mentally, emotionally, and sometimes even physically. And the challenges, the temptations to cheat and lie and steal and worse. And that's our personal choice. That's our free will to follow the darkness and the temptation that's whispered in our ears. Now, there are ways to avoid the devil's temptations. The devil and his henchmen and all the energy beings that are in our environment just trying to corrupt our lives every single day. I know I've been talking about this a lot lately, but it is real. Look, I'm going through it every single day, and I have that awareness to be able to step back and see what is going on. And sometimes it's hard to do that because we have families and we have jobs and we have lives and we're out and about and our car breaks down and we've got to buy food and bills and we lose our job and everything is just, our lives are really, really busy. So we don't get time to often sit back and observe what's going on around us at a deeper level. Now, I know this all sounds quite ominous, but it isn't really. Well, it kind of is. We are stuck in this earth battlefield, which I talked about back in episode 138, where I looked at universal balance and battlefield earth, as I call it. So I'm not going to talk about that today, but if you want to have a listen to that, you can go back and hear the full story in episode 138. Today, we are looking at many forms, so many different types of spiritual armour that you can wear to thwart the devil and his henchmen and all their temptations. Now, it's not necessarily physical armour. There are things that you can wear and processes that you can do. I mean, I don't really get into crystals. Crystals aren't my thing, but people wear crystals for spiritual protection. I did do a protection episode. I can't remember what the number is, but I'm sure if you want to look at that, you'll find that in the list of my podcast episodes. There's lots of different tools. We're all different. We're all different people, and we all need different tools for our best kitted up armour to keep us safe, mentally, emotionally, which also affects us physically. What I'm going to share is not in any specific order, and we're going to be looking at non-religious armours, but also the pieces of what they call the armour of God, which is a Christian armour which has been mentioned in the Bible. I don't quote the Bible, but if you're interested, I'm sure if you looked it up online, you would find it. So let's not mess about. Let's get straight into looking at what are the non-religious armours that you can use. Armour can be both physical and it can be visual and it can also be spiritual or energetic. So there's lots of different ways you can look at this. I like to give lots of different options. You never ever have to follow one rule. You work with what works for you. I've done so many different types of spiritual protection over the years. In the early days, you'll love this, I used to put on a white suit of armour every day. It was just me visualising putting on a white set of armour for protection. And when that didn't work, I was like, okay, people say this is going to work. How can I adapt it? So then I imagined that it was a mirrored spiritual armour that I was putting on every day. So that's quite a funny thing to think about, but I was covered in all these mirrors and all the energy would be reflected back to whoever was sending it to me or reflected back to dark and demonic entities. That didn't work either. It really had no effect. Then I realised that I was creating my own problems. This is some of the things we're going to look at today in number 3. We create our own energetic problems. Some people call them spiritual wounds. I call them emotional and trauma imprints that are absorbed into all the different parts of our physical bodies and our energy bodies, which is our chakras, meridian lines, consciousness, energy field. So when I got to thinking about, do I need to protect myself from inside out? Sometimes I think the armours that we put on the outside or a band-aid. Just like sometimes people drink or take drugs or emotionally eat to cope with their problems, spiritual armour is not going to work unless you are pretty clean on the inside, because the entities are still going to hang around you. You can wear as much armour as you want. They're still going to be there, and they're still going to affect the way that you function. So number 1, so if you're someone that likes to wear items, whether it be jewellery or crystals or rings or amulets or some sort of little mojo bags, depending on what your spiritual beliefs are, or little bags with prayers in them, people sometimes like that physical item, that tangible thing that they can hang on to. So you could use protective symbols such as the hasma. You could use amulets like I've already mentioned. I have a dear friend, who swears that using mirrors works for him as a protective shield. And who am I to judge? If it works for him, it works for him. He goes everywhere because he wears shirts with a pocket on both sort of sides of his shirt. At chest level, he wears a small mirror in each pocket. If that empowers him to feel protected, then it is going to give him some level of protection, because it's all about the intention. Now, you can use these items, but you can also add words to them. You can give them personal power to protect you. Now, you can find words online, words, statements, prayers, whatever it is that you want to call it. I don't share what I use exactly because I have a lot of protection around me to keep the voodoo, sorcery and magic practitioners out. And if I give you that, then if they're listening, they can undo what I'm using and what I've given to many, many people to help protect them. But I crafted these words myself. Took a long time, but I got the wording right. Number 2, I purely use carefully crafted words that I call statements. And that vibration, when you ask a higher vibrational being to activate that around you, it creates a energetic bubble or barrier or shield. It creates protection. And I know, because this has kept me alive for the last 4 years. I pretty much didn't have any spiritual armour before this. I used to just deal with the entities as they come in, deal with other people's emotions, and I would just deal with it every day. Now I don't have to do that because I am well shielded with about 50 different layers of energetic protection. Because as I would craft one, it would work for a while and then I'd need to change it. I work with Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael. You work with whichever higher vibrational being you feel aligned with. They can't interfere. If they see you struggling, they cannot interfere as much as they want to. It creates karma because they're interrupting our life path. But there is a loophole. You can write a statement or a prayer. I don't call them commands because I see that as a little bit disrespectful. So I craft these statements and then I ask, using manners, please, thank you. I ask Archangel Michael to please come now to activate a particular thing for me. And then I test it. Does it work? Does it need tweaking? This all takes practice. I mean, you can look online to find examples of what other people use. Then you can go, wow, I'm going to try that. And you use it. Parts of it work, parts of it don't work. So what you do is you just change. You change it to suit what you need. What works for you, what you vibrate at, what you gel with, what you vibe with, whatever you want to call it. The statements, as I call them, are written with present tense positive language. You never say what you don't want because your higher vibrational beings don't hear the don't. I know that doesn't quite make sense, but it's true. You have to manifest what you want, not what you don't want. And if you think about it, it really does make sense. And it's much more straightforward. High vibrational beings don't work with ambiguity. You've got to be spot on with what you're asking with the language. Must practice. Write down every statement or prayer that you use. Keep a diary, a journal, online, in a book, on your phone, on your iPad, whatever. As long as you're writing it down. Because once you know it works, you've got it. And once you've said it, I usually say things 3 times. That's just the way my brain works. My OCD needs to cement it in with multiple times. Once you've said it, you shouldn't need to say it again, unless there's another problem that comes along that you didn't cover in that statement, which is what I had with all this magic attack and magic interference that I've been dealing with. When you ask your higher vibrational beings with the focused intent, you say it out loud. Because I don't mean yell, but you use the vibration of your voice. Because you are focusing your voice on the intention that you want. Now, the best tool online for creating statements is a thesaurus. I'd say to Archangel Michael, dude, because I call him dude, because I think of him as my big brother, I'd go, dude, I need another word. What we're doing is great, and thank you very much for activating this statement for me, but I need the next level up. Now, I will either go to bed that night and wake up in the morning hearing a strange word. Wow, that will work. And I add that to my statement. I play with the words and then I ask for it. I ask for that level of spiritual armour and see what happens. You've got to observe and see what happens. Because you are creating your own protection. Remember, they can't interfere. They can't because it's karma for them. But they will help you with whatever you need. So number 3. Number 3 is the one that most people are going to struggle with. Having an awareness and dealing with your mental and emotional triggers, your mental and emotional traumas, your mental and emotional problems. You can't sweep them under the carpet. It just doesn't work. Putting them in the back of your mind or doing your best to forget about them, that's a short-term band-aid fix. They're still going to be there. You've got to address them at some time in your life, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 80, whatever. You've got to deal with them. Because it'll just keep coming back. You've got to learn the lesson from it. What is it you need to learn? Oh, we're going to send you some entities. Oh, we're going to send you some magic attack. You'll have a car accident or you'll punch someone in the nose and get a fine or all sorts of things happen because people are triggered. And you need to be aware of what your triggers are, whether it's people, situations, experiences, places or items. Letting yourself be triggered lets the devil's henchmen get closer to you. People call them spiritual wounds. I call them mental and emotional trauma or emotional and a trauma imprints that affect people. So it's important, if you're in a situation where you can't get help straight away, it's important to be non-reactive. It benefits you and other people around you, whether it's the person that's trying to trigger you and get you going, or if it's your family, or if it's your pets or your home. By being non-reactive and neutral, that is a form of spiritual or energetic armour. Now, whether you want to look at it that way or not, that's how I see it. It is one level of protecting yourself, is to just not react. It's really important if you have mental and emotional traumas or you have mental and emotional triggers, is to talk to someone, is to seek mental health care, is to see your doctor. I've got this problem and I'm not coping. Because once you take that all away, you get rid of that level of energetic blockages, energetic baggage. A friend of mine calls it marinating. She says, people just marinate in their own stuff. And I went, wow, I've never forgotten that word because it's exactly what we do. I'm 57 and I spent probably decades marinating in certain emotions. I just don't do those emotions anymore. I try to avoid, it's not a very good word. I do my best to avoid creating resentment. I do my best to avoid creating hostility when I'm driving. It's not my business to get caught in what other people are doing on the road. I have to look after myself, my car, the occupants in my car. And when I just focus on me and my driving and so forth, I'm not getting triggered. I'm not filling my brain with all that negative energy, and I'm not marinating again in all that resentment and hostility and anger and rage and whatever else comes with the hostility. That's the awareness that I've created about my mental and emotional triggers. Get the help to get rid of the emotional and mental negative baggage, and then your spiritual armour is going to work even better because you're lighter and brighter and cleaner on the inside. So number 4, you can follow whatever religious beliefs you have. You can choose to follow those practices. I've never really worked that way. I was brought up Catholic. Church really didn't do it for me. I prefer to talk to God, Jesus, whoever's around, Archangel Michael. I prefer to do that at home. I think I've got a few sensory issues around noise and people and feeling their energy and just not wanting to be around people. And churches are people. So if you want to go to church and that works for you, do that. Look at what sort of spiritual armour your religious practices offer you. Because you'd be surprised that the devil and his henchmen really do recoil at religion. If you have a lot of faith in what you believe in, they are going to recoil at what you use. So this leads us into what is called the Christian armour of God, which I learnt about recently. There are 6 parts to this full armour, and I'm going to describe them to you the best that I can. I got a bit cheeky and I looked up online what the Christian armour of God is, and I asked online if only Christians could use this armour. And all of the forums or the websites or the groups that I looked at was a resounding yes, you have to be Christian. But you know what? And I hope I'm not going to offend anybody out there. It is not the intention. God, in all its forms, in all its divine energy, wouldn't reject anyone who asked for help. So if a non-Christian wanted to learn to use the Christian armour of God, I don't see that that would be a problem. But God, in all its different forms, always says that they never reject anyone who asks for help. So if you want to apply these principles that I'm going to outline now, this is what I like to offer people, is to give people the basics and then you go and make your own, because you're making it in your vibration, and that adds power to when you ask your higher vibrational people or your supporters to activate this armour, this spiritual armour, this energetic armour that you want to wear. Now, each of these 6 parts, they represent a particular spiritual virtue, an ethic or a truth that you can use with focused intention to thwart dark energy attackers. And I think once you've got this spiritual armour in place, it's also going to keep magic practitioners out to a degree, depending on how intent they are on whacking you with some sort of magic. Now, number 1, the sword. To me, this is the most important defensive weapon. I'm not talking about slashing and cutting people up. That is not where we're going. The sword is a representation of being a defensive weapon. This is where the words, for me, my words are a weapon. Prayers that you say are a weapon. You wouldn't want to use that word weapon, but that's what they are. They carry a focused intention and a truth. It is just like a sword that cuts through the dark energy beings' defense systems, and they will feel it. Believe me. I don't have many problems now with dark or demonic entities. Very, very rarely do I have any issues, because they know I'm connected to higher, powerful beings. I'm connected to Archangel Michael. We all are if we choose to be. That's my sword. Archangel Michael is my sword because he creates all the statements for me. Well, he activates all the statements for me. Number 2 is a solid, shiny breastplate. So you can imagine what the Romans used to wear. The breastplate covers your vital organs, well, most of them. Your heart, which is it governs your intention. So we're talking energetically here. It also governs the functioning of your body, your physical body. But your heart governs your pure intention. And a breastplate also covers your solar plexus, which is where I see that your soul energy sits. Some people say it sits in the heart chakra. Some people say it sits in the solar plexus chakra or your consciousness. We're not going to get caught on that. But your heart governs your intention, your pure intention. And also it is the center of your morals, ethics, values, and your intuition, like I mentioned earlier. And your heart guides you. I wrote this down. It guides you to live the best, most beneficial life that you can. So a solid breastplate is going to protect your heart area energetically. So number 3, a shiny shield of truth and faith. Now this is going to defend and bounce off all psychic attacks from people. And it's also going to block and disperse all dark energy attacks. Now this spiritual armour stops the entities getting in, but it doesn't stop them from being around you, around the outside of all the protection. I call that public space. And you can't control what people do in their public space. It just is what it is. But also too, it's how you go about and live your life that keeps it solid. This is the same for the sword, the breastplate, the shield. We're going to talk about a helmet, about a belt of truth, and about your feet fitted with very comfortable shoes or sandals. All of these 6 aspects will work and function when you live your life to the most beneficial outcome that you can. And yes, we all fall in a hole, 2 steps forward, 1 step back sometimes. Sometimes it's a pretty deep hole. It takes a while to get out of. But if you can see the light, we're not talking about going to the light, but if you can see a way out of something or a most beneficial outcome, or go, you know what, that was a damn stupid thing I did last week, I need to apologise to that person, you're making that step up. You are coming out of that hole. It's about not living in ego. Ego really does, the devil loves ego. We all want shiny, beautiful, glitzy, glamorous things, cars, houses, money, whatever it is that does it for you, like 10 bajillion subscribers on YouTube and Instagram and whatever. People will be tempted through their ego. That's what keeps us low. That's basically the clincher. If you can get out of your ego and deal with your mental and emotional traumas and triggers, you are going to live a better life. But working with the high vibrational beings, activating spiritual armour, energetic armour. If the word spiritual triggers you, call it energetic armour. So number 4, we're looking at a hard helmet. I see it as a bit like a hard hat, like a construction hat, but you can visualise your hard helmet in any way. It protects your mind, your consciousness, your focus, and it enhances your clear thinking and intuitive connection to the higher vibrational beings, which I find goes out through the top of your head through the chakras. Because we have chakras below our body. You've got these energy vortexes below our body that keep us grounded. And then we've got chakras in our body that help function the energy part of our bodies. And then they go out through the top of the head. So that energy needs a hard hat or it needs a hard helmet to protect your brain, your mind, your focusing, your consciousness, whatever you want to call it. That is really important to visualize, to activate. Number 5, the belt of truth. Now this was interesting. I had to think about this one for a while. This helps you keep it all together. So what does a belt do? It helps keep your pants up. It pulls everything in nice and tight. It keeps you in place, reminding you be moral and honest with integrity and be the best that you can at all times. Now, sometimes I have to pull my belt a little bit tighter when I'm starting to get resentful and I'm like, no, I'm not going to respond that way. So number 6, your feet. You've got to protect your feet. Your feet are walking on the earth, whether it's spiritually, energetically or physically. Your feet need comfortable shoes or sandals. I don't know, whatever type of shoes you want to wear, because you are walking the path with all of the above protections and the ethics and the morals and the values to live your most beneficial life. Your feet have to be kitted out in the best shoes that you can give them, and you can spread the word of what you are using and helping other people understand how to use it. That's as if you choose to. But people might ask you, wow, you've changed recently. You feel different in a good way. You feel much more settled and calmer. And you can go, well, I actually discovered the spiritual armour of God. You don't have to use the God word. It might freak some people out. And they'll go, wow, do you want to share that? And you share it in whichever way works for you. I wrote it down in a way that I would understand, that I think other people will understand. Okay, so someone just said to me, make it relatable. I do my best with everything that I share with you to make it relatable. So once you understand this spiritual or energetic armour, you're going to be saying, oh, now how often do I have to use it? You can imagine putting the armour on every day if you want to. Or, like I do, you can activate it once and it will protect you. You activate it, you observe it, you monitor it, and once you've got it right, you don't need to activate it again. And if you make a mistake, don't go, oh, now I've lost my belt of truth. Don't fall into those sort of holes. You're going to go down the rabbit hole and the devil's going to be at the bottom waiting to catch you. You go, you know what, I made a mistake. Apologise to the person. Send an email to your boss. Talk to your partner. I was having a really bad day. I'm sorry I spoke to you that way. Then your belt's fine again. You know, Christians may argue with me that you can't use the armour of God, but as I see it, we all come from one mass consciousness. But we all have access to whichever methods of spiritual help we choose to access. And you utilise it to live the best life that you can. So in episode 147, you're going to get a spooky look at, is there real evidence of ghosts? Do ghosts actually exist? And I know you're thinking, well, that's a strange topic for you to be talking about. People ask me all the time. I mean, I have my opinions, other people have their opinions. So I thought I'd have a go at trying to put some science into it, and we'll see how that goes. It really comes down to personal interpretation. And not everyone is ever going to be 100% convinced. And that's okay, because skeptics keep it real. And I'm going to share throughout the episode some of my sort of experiences that tell me that ghosts are real and that they do exist. I never ever doubt it, because in my mind that's a little bit rude, because I've had so many experiences. I have felt their touch, felt their presence, heard their voices, seen them activate light devices that couldn't possibly be activated by anything else. But you can make up your own mind. So I look forward to seeing you next week. So stay tuned and we'll be spending some spooky time together. Oh, and don't forget, if you like the content of this podcast and you don't want to miss any future episodes, please subscribe. And you can share with your friends so we can get the message out there. We can spread the message about these paranormal pranksters and what they get up to in our homes. I would really appreciate it. So thank you for joining me today. And don't forget, if you want to share a paranormal experience just with myself, or you would like me to share one of your experiences through my podcast, you can do a voice recording, or you can write out your experience and I will read it exactly as you have written. You can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And for information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website, Spiritual Being. You will find the address in the description box. And I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.